continuing this kind of haphazard marathon content day.
Where's the haphazard coming from?
What's that?
Where's the haphazard coming from?
Haphazard? I don't know. Every once in a while, I'd like to use the word haphazard, even though it doesn't apply. I kind of like that word, haphazard. I like that.
I can't believe you missed your biggest opportunity of the day. We have a player pitching who I talked about, who I'm pitching in one of my big ones, named Battenfield. How the hell do you get the name Battenfield as a pitcher in baseball?
That's really funny.
That's the 4,800 guy, and he's cruising right now against the Yanks.
He's batting in the field. Okay, I like that.
No, it's crazy. He's cruising along. No, he's pitching though. He's off to a great start.
Excellent.
Anyway, we can talk about some golf. I'm excited to get back into the golf. It's always a little bit Masters hangover, some shots. And it was shocking to me, Sheets, in the Masters, how few 6 of 6s there were, given the fact that literally basically out of, 75 or 78 players that could actually make the cut and 50 with ties. And somehow everybody had the chalk missed. Corey Connors, Rory McIlroy, the 2 highest owned players, missed the cut. Just because to show you golf's a wild game. We're going to get into it and go tier by tier and pull up sheets of screen and talk about everything. But it was just a wild situation with the Masters. And I had some hope. I had some chances, but I'm ready to get back after it this week. Another really good field. And I think we have, the same thing where we have the 2 clear best golfers at the top. Do we want to pay for them or not? We're going to have some conversations. We got Joanne in chat. She always pops in for the golf, so that's always nice to see. Anyway, what are your overall thoughts on this course, or anything you want to add before we get into it?
Well, I'd like to add that I had 49 out of 150 lineups at 6 for 6 and lost money. So plenty of ways to skin a cat. But that's what happens when you full fade the guys that came random 1-2 in the tournament. So
I guess so.
That's the way it goes. So you mentioned the key term, which is being thrown around this week, and that would be Masters hangover, right? You mentioned it with respect to your Slate thing, but the people are going to be talking. I imagine, I haven't even looked at any content, but I imagine people are going to be talking about that, where someone like Rahm. Is he prone to have a Masters hangover? Is anybody that kind of made a ceiling performance or even was competing on Sunday, naturally going to have a down performance? And the good thing is there were really only like 2 or 3 golfers that were competing on Sunday. You want to know the truth?
Right. Although pretty amazing by Mickelson to put up that number.
The guy's not even human. I mean, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, so my overall view on the slate, by the way, and I just put my sheets up, whatever, and we're gonna change. I'm gonna make some changes, and then we'll do a live build when we do our live sweat later tonight. I think it's a really difficult GPP slate. I usually find, just from looking at my sheets, like several kind of standout.
DFS MLB projections have been updated. They should be available on Savers in a few minutes.
And this slate, I'm not really finding them. It's gonna require a little bit of massaging to get my builds the way I want them. But we should just gotta go slate, tier by tier, and do our thing. Well, for those of you that are watching this the first time, we're gonna go through tier by tier. Saying who our favorite guys are, and then at the end we're going to do a little contest where we pick who we think is going to win, who we think is going to get top 5 from 10K, under 10K, who's going to get top 10 from under 9K, under top 20 for under 8K, make the cut under 7K, and then miss the cut over 9K, and give you kind of an idea of who we like. So why don't we start? Am I sharing my screen? I think I am. I know. So already.
Yeah.
Hashtag haphazard.
I mean, it's just one of those. I actually wouldn't say it's haphazard. I think we're going full. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Yep. So I think that we could talk. Let's go. We could use 10K and up as the top tier. We don't need to. We don't need to only do the 11Ks.
Go ahead. You start.
Yeah. No, I just don't know what we're talking about here.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Start the 10Ks.
Okay. So. All 3 of these guys, well, not all 3 of these guys. So I have Scheffler, Cantlay, and Rahm above the others with respect to playability. And I have all 3 of them pretty playable. But I would like to say that I think that the 32% ownership projection on Cantlay is pretty egregious. There's no universe where I'm playing that at 32%.
And that's your guy too. You even play him at you'll play him at 20, but you don't play him at 30, huh? I
guess not. But yeah, I'm not interested in that. I mean, he's showing up as like one of the top plays, but 32%. I'm showing Scheffler at 24 and Rahm at 21. So I prefer Scheffler and Rahm to Cantlay of the 10Ks and up. Colin Morikawa, he is the lowest owned I have of all these, and projects a little worse, but maybe this is where you start. Okay, so you want to start talking about GPPs. So why don't we start? This is going to be my opinion with Morikawa as the lowest owned, maybe of the 10Ks. That shouldn't actually. Spieth is going to be lower than him, but I think Morikawa is probably a good play. But I think all these 10Ks, Scheffler, Cantlay, Rahm, they're all very strong. I'm not full fading them this week, and Morikawa would be I guess my first pivot.
Interesting. So I want to throw out a few things that I have a few thoughts on that. Like a lot of this is going to come down to lineup construction.
Yeah.
Rahm and Scheffler are significantly better. I actually think Rahm is going to end up, as usual, way lower owned than he's projected.
Yep.
Especially considering that he just won the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
And look, if there's a time to have a letdown, we could all forgive him for it. But at the same time, it's not like he's one of these guys who doesn't go out. He competes. He's a competitive guy. He goes out there and literally expects to win every tournament. And, they're in a tough fight. He's going to be in a tough fight with Scheffler all year long for the FedEx Cup rankings and everything, and for the top player in the world. And I'm sort of just – I actually think there are some cheap enough guys where you can play some Scheffler-Rahm lineups together. But I love the Morikawa idea. He's probably my favorite when you factor in ownership in the top range. And I just am with you on the Cantlay thing. It's just, can we do it? I don't know if I can, man.
No thanks.
It just feels wrong. And also, as good as he is, I don't think we're talking about the same class of golfer. I really don't. I just think that he's a very good golfer. He's always going to be consistent and good. He had one crazy year, and he's going to be right up there in the top 20s. And he's more of a Xander type of guy, to me, than these guys. I just feel like I don't think 10-3 at 30%. I just don't see any reason on this kind of a turn. There's so many good plays.
I'll tell you what. Okay, you want me to pick someone to finish top 10? I'll more than happy to pick Cantlay. Let's compare Cantlay to Jordan Spieth, like just for the hell of it. Okay, so Jordan Spieth is like much worse projected than all these guys. Right? He's certainly much worse projected than Patrick Cantlay. He certainly is much more volatile than Patrick Cantlay. But I will say this, that listen, this is kind of an ignorant thing to say given the win odds and stuff, but give me Spieth to win the tournament. You know what I mean? Like
5% ownership. I forget to winning the tournament. Let's play him in some DFS.
Yeah.
Maybe mix him in with
well, that's my point. My point is the way these results distribute. If you're going to play a guy over 10K, you give me him a low ownership with significant winning upside, but I think that's what Spieth has. He's got big winning upside. He, and not that Cam doesn't have winning upside, but it just, I don't know. I would just prefer to play super low owned and Morikawa than play chalky Cantlay on a slate like this.
Yeah, for what it's worth, 60% of the writers at PGAtour.com actually, not to top five, not to anything, pick Cantlay to win, which is just kind of crazy. Like, to have 60% of people picking the same.
Listen, this is what happens. There's I forget the exact term, the exact phrase, but there's something like baseball where they say like a momentum goes as far as the next day's starting pitcher and stuff like that. And golf is funny. People just presume that there's momentum and one thing leads to the other. And the guys that are like Cantlay, they've had a good performance. People create this narrative that okay, the next one he's going to just smash. You know what I mean? He's ready to go. And the other guy like that is like someone like, not that maybe I'll play him anyway, but like Cameron Young. Like Cameron Young is like another guy. It's like way too cutesy. Like he's doing well. It's just about time for him to get. It doesn't really work that way. You're gonna. This is golf. I mean, the ball, you're 1 millimeter off, it goes into the freaking into the water.
Right.
So it's not exactly. He's that Cantlay, bunch of top 5, bunch of top 6s. So now he's ready to win. He can get in top 6s and 7s for the rest of the year.
Right. I don't think he will necessarily because I think he's actually awesome. But like, why is he twice the ownership of Sam Burns, who's 900 cheaper? Why is that happening? You know what I mean? It doesn't make enough sense to me to where you want to play. So getting into the 9K range because of that, I could argue completely starting in the 9K range. I could argue with completely fading the 9K range, to be honest with you. The guys who I think make the most sense, and there's no ownership difference really that's large enough. Hovland will probably be the lowest owned. Fine. I think that Homa maybe a little lower owned. Give me Homa and Schauffele and Xander as my 2 favorites in this range. And then I actually think Cam Young is my 3rd favorite. And as always, I will say the most overdrafted guy in golf who doesn't, maybe it's because he doesn't kill your lineups a lot of times, so he ends up on winning lineups. But as I point out every week, basically, I feel like Tony Finau, it's getting kind of ridiculous when you see him with the ownership that he gets and people picking him to win tournaments all the time. It just doesn't happen enough. You know what I mean? I understand the talent's there, but all these guys are freaking talented. We're a young superstar era of golf. So give me Xander, give me Homa, and I'm totally fine with Finau, Young, and Hovland, but right now I'm prioritizing the other ones. And I like guys in the 8Ks better than I like guys in the 9Ks for what it's worth.
I'll tell you for what it's worth, I don't see Finau being that highly owned this week.
Maybe people are finally catching getting it. You know what I mean? Every week it's like he's the trendy pick to break out and win a big tournament. And then he's played well here and he's done this. And he just always ends up, okay, end up in the 20s. Okay, great. That's cool. But I would like these other guys at, I think, slightly lower ownership. You think, Homa's definitely going to be lower owned than he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I have as the highest owned in this group as Hovland.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would have thought Hovland would have been the lowest owned.
Yeah, I don't know. It's what I have, but I have So I guess I like Schauffele probably the best of the 9Ks and Homa. Those are probably my 2 favorites. And we're factoring in both chances of winning and ownership as far as this show is concerned, right? So I like Schauffele and actually, if I'm gonna, kids say keep it real. I do think Finau is a good play if it's only 14%. Drifts up to 20, then it's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna write in for the purposes of this. I'm gonna write in Schauffele, Finau, and Homa.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've got. So the thing I'm looking at here though is that I prefer the 8Ks to the 9Ks, and I prefer the lowest owned of the 8Ks to the rest of the 8Ks. So let's
hear it.
So Justin Thomas, I think, is a really sneaky. I think he has a reasonable chance to win this tournament. I know you've seen some bad rounds. He really had one bad wind round. You know what I mean? On day 2 of the Masters, he got the bad draw and just it didn't go his way. He was right. Even what was he 3 under before that happened? He ended up shooting 7 over on the back 9 with the crazy wind, the crazy weather. And I just believe that 8,900. It can't not be profitable to play Justin Thomas 8,900 going forward. I think he's a better golfer than basically everybody above him in the 9Ks. And I don't care enough about recent trends and perception to where I'm not going to own him more. So he's definitely going to be a priority for me. Sam Burns, there is absolutely no reason in the world you could tell me that Sam Burns isn't back. We were playing him at 7,800 at 2% a few weeks ago. People liked him for the match. Then he had up and down on the weekend. He had the 6 over and then never really got back to it. But he actually played well for the most part at the Masters. I think Sam Burns is a terrific play, and he's going to be very low owned because everyone's going to play Sung Jae. I sort of like the idea of pairing at least 2 of the 8Ks in my big buy-in build. And Justin Thomas and Sam Burns feel like the first 2 for me. Sung Jae is the chalky one that I'm going to have some of. Matt Fitzpatrick is the chalky one I'm going to have some of. But I really like Tom Kim also. I have every player in this range I have interest in. And of course, without a doubt, I'm going to play Fleetwood anyway. And Thigala, who I think is playing the best golf of his life down at 8K, not to mention Lowry and Hatton, who sort of are the same type of player. I just love the 8Ks here. So maybe my strategy will be to sort of skip the 9Ks for the most part and overload the 8Ks.
Yeah. So The whatchamacallit, the Sam Burns thing is interesting. Because people don't treat him kind of the same as some of these other guys, but he's really good.
Just won a tournament.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but for me in the 8Ks, I have, really the three guys, the guys that you mentioned here. So it's going to be Fitzpatrick, Hatton, Thomas. I don't know if you mentioned Shane Lowry, but I'm gonna unfortunately go back to Tom Kim.
I don't think it's unfortunate. I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, 10-12%. So I like that. So I like your Sam Burns call, and I like Tom Kim. Those would be my two kind of like GPP plays.
Can I get you to play any Fleetwood at all? What's the real knock on him?
He's actually right the next guy. Yeah, right. So we'll say Fleetwood, Burns, Kim would be the GPP plays.
Yeah, I love it, and I'm going to throw Thagala into my mix as well, just because I think that there's real upside in this 8K range, and I think the 9Ks are going to be heavily owned. I think there's some of these 8Ks will too, but I can play the different 8Ks and feel very good about it. All right, 7,500 to 8K sheets. What do you got?
Right. So the two guys that I have, I have three. Well, 7,500 and up. I got a few. So top rated guy is Matt Kuchar, but not by much. He's about 6. I have him at 16% ownership. And then the obvious. I mean, people just saw how well he played this last week as well, and he's always a model darling. Russell Henley at 7,800. He's going to get ownership. He looks pretty good. Corey Connors, although he, S the bed, whatever it is, he's going to still look good. But I'm more interested in kind of the lower owned guys. So let's start with Siwoo Kim. So Siwoo Kim at 7,600. I'm looking for guys under 10%. So there's him. Ricky Fowler, I think, should be a little too popular. And then there's Chris Kirk. So I'm really just identifying guys that I have less than 10%. Or at least close. So Chris Kirk and Siwoo Kim would probably be the two GPP plays. But as far as like just where they just kind of rate, it would be Kuchar and Henley, and then Connors like the top, cashy type plays.
Yeah, I have to double check something about my courses here because I think I may have mixed something up, but I'll figure it out. All right, so look, I'll start at the bottom. I love Chris Kirk. I feel like he's being a little bit disrespected, and I think that 7,500 at no ownership, Chris Kirk is definitely going to be a guy or low ownership. I shouldn't say no ownership. He's going to be a guy I have some interest in. I also like your guy, Keith Mitchell, a little bit. The guy you usually talk about.
He did great on Sunday. He was like +9 for the day.
Yeah, he was really, really awesome.
Fantastic.
I like Ricky a lot. Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
And then I'm mixing in a little bit of Connors, Henley, Kuchar, Rose, but not the standouts. For me, the ones I'm going to be well overweight on will be Chris Kirk, Keith Mitchell, because mostly ownership reasons, and Ricky Fowler. And then I think Gary Woodland is an interesting, 7,500 play. All right, 7K to 7,400 sheets. You want to go through your like there?
Sure. I don't have as much here as I usually do, but it's the usual guys. Actually, that's not true. So I have 1, 2, 3 guys I want to highlight, and one of them is about 10%, and that is JT Poston.
Yep.
I have 2 others to mention. One
is really only going to be 10. I mean, I feel like Poston. I've heard his name a lot. He did 3 top 10s here.
You could be right. I mean, you could be right. And then, as always, Tom Hoagie for me. Looks good. And then there was a guy we haven't played in a while, or I haven't played in a while. Oh, I like that he's showing up here and only 5% too, is Adam Hadwin at 7,300. So those would be the 3 guys. And it's funny, I usually have more guys in this range that are like rate higher on my sheets. But that's pretty much what I got. Then other guys I just kind of don't feel like playing in GPPs are Eddie McCarthy, Brian Harmon, Kurt Kitayama maybe, but I like the guys I mentioned. Tom Hoagie, Adam Hadwin particularly, and JT Poston.
Same page with Hoagie. I love the unknown Min Woo Lee here.
Ooh, I like that.
Me trying to get my money back for playing him in my $2,200 buy-in at the Masters.
Yeah, that's right.
But did you see what he did? I mean, Sheets, the guy literally, because they have the one 355 par 4, and he freaking hit it. It bounced off the green. He actually drove it. He was the only one to do it.
Yeah.
He's further than anybody, and he's a much better golfer than he gets credit for. You're seeing some sort of sporadic results. I have no problem with low ownership in Min Woo Lee. I think he's better than until you get to the 8Ks. I think he's arguably going to be the best, if he's not already the best golfer in this range. I really believe that. And maybe it'll take a year. Maybe I'm early. That's fine. I just really like him. I'm with you on Hoagie, as I mentioned, and I love Poston. Even if he's chalky, I'd probably play him. So if he's not, I'm certainly going to be well overweight on him. And I think Seamus Power in the same range is mildly interesting to me. I've sort of been keeping an eye. Steph Straka's I put it like sort of inconsistent, but putting together some really nice rounds. So I've got him on my list right now. I've got Kurt Kitayama on my list. I've got Cam Davis on my list, and I've got. I mean, this is embracing variance. Davis Riley on my list, and Steven Yeager. So I'm into the lower owned group of these 7K guys, and I'll probably even throw an Adam Svensson in there as well. I don't mind if you want to go Justin Suh. There's just a lot. This is where I'm getting a lot different. You know what I mean? A lot of 2, 4, 5%ers that I'm going to be 20, 25% on, or maybe not that high, 15 to 20% on. And that's sort of what I'm doing. The 8Ks and the bottom of the 7Ks is my favorite spot to attack.
All right. Under 7K, I got a few. The once and former hero of match play, JJ Spawn, 6,900. Nick Taylor, who I always seem to have in this range, 6,900, and then Brendan Todd at 6,900. So those would be the three guys I would identify in the 7 below range. And I have to say that I might end up getting them because again I do like the top guys. Like I like Scheffler, and if you like Scheffler, imagine if I try to get a lineup like Scheffler and like Morikawa or something like that. I think something like a Brendan Todd to make the cut. You know what I mean? Like, I think that'd be pretty useful in a lineup like that.
Yeah, I got you, man. I'm okay with Brendan Todd, but I love both Spawn and Nick Taylor.
Oh wow.
I really like them. Like, I think that this is a pricing mistake almost. I have no, why aren't they in the high 7s? You know what I mean? It feels like they should be. And I think that these guys are competitive enough to where they can battle, and they can battle for top 10s and top 20s. I'm totally good with them. I think Tyler Duncan, who's actually been sneakily playing well, is pretty interesting. And I think that I'm tempted to say Scott Stallings, but I don't want to have too many guys down here because I really like the ones that I like. But Stallings also shows up, Herbert, Hayden Buckley. Of course, you know me, I'm going to throw the general into 1 or 2. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't think this is like a priority spot for the general. Too many good golfers, but at the same time, 6,700, I always like to take shots there. Andrew Putnam, Davis Thompson, Ryan Palmer. There's some reasonable players down here. And the one who is I have two like unowned ones that like one I think can actually contend here, and that's Luke List. I know he's looked off and up and down, but I like List and Streelman a little bit. So I'm into a lot of these lower guys. Anything from 7,500 down, I'm sort of like into. I don't think you need to go below like the 6,500 range, but if you did, Smotherman, Adam Long, these are just like names that are just popping up a little bit for me. The never make a cut anymore, Troy Merritt, and the struggling Caleb Taryn, and the up and coming Carson Young. All these guys are on my list. Oh, and Doc Redman is too. But the main thing is I want to focus on the Spawn and Taylor because I really like both those plays. And I like Tyler Duncan a pretty good amount as well. He and Putnam would be my next two favorites.
For what it's worth, Tyler Duncan was the next guy that I was going to.
Yeah. All right, so we get to play the game now, Sheets. Okay, so you get to pick first. Who are you taking to win the tournament? And it doesn't matter if you
Let's take flip a coin between these two guys. Let's go. It's time. How about Colin Morikawa?
I like it. I like it very much, and I think you can do exactly what you did. And I'm going to be chalky again. I did say Scheffler last week, who played the worst golf of his life and finished 10th somehow.
Amazing, right?
He's so good, and he shows up. He never doesn't show up. I'm going to take Scotty Scheffler as a chalky pick. That's what I got.
That's the other one I was going to take.
Yeah. And Maury was
under 10K to make the top 5.
So under 10K to make the top 5, I am going to say Justin Thomas at 8,900. To stick to my.
I will go with Max Homa.
Okay. All right. I like this little gathering we got here. We got a lot of the guys who are my guys here, so that's nice. In the 8Ks, I love the 8Ks so very, very much. To make the top 10, I'm going to say Sam Burns, but it's very hard for me not to just list down all of these guys. I think they all have a wonderful shot. I'm going to say Sam Burns, but I'm going to also point out that I don't want this to be the time you forget to play Fleetwood at no ownership. Not you, but everybody. So I will say Sam Burns, Fleetwood, but Burns is my pick.
Okay, so
I know I gave away an extra one, but I wanted to just let people know he would be my last cut. It was really close between them.
Well, I don't know what to do about this then, because without saying who was going to be, like if I liked Fleetwood as my pick, am I allowed to pick him? Or
of course, yeah, that was just me throwing out the love for Fleetwood. I didn't think there was a chance you were going to pick him, but I love it if you do.
I mean, so we have a Burns, and so you pick Burns, right? Because you already have the Thomas going to the top 5.
Right.
I
think the right answer is pretty obvious, but we're whatever.
No, I can't give people too many.
No, just one guy. I'm just saying.
I am going for top 10, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I am going to go with Tommy Fleetwood.
All right. This is amazing. I really thought you were going to go for like Hatton or Lowry or Fitz or Tom Kim. I like all, and I think Sung Jae. I'm just going to make a note because I'm going to be off the chalk in a lot of spots. Sung Jae is a place I think I might eat a little bit of chalk. I may not need to because I love the 8K so much, but I just do like Sung Jae here quite a bit. All right. Under 8K to top 20. Who you got?
I mean, I will snap from you. I believe I will snap from you, Chris Kirk.
You did snap him from me. I love that you picked him though, because that means I get to take another guy.
Yeah.
And what's great about this so far is we're not really on the chalk, which is always nice. All right, I'm going to say top 20. I'm going to say Ricky Fowler.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever said Ricky Fowler, but I just did. Actually, I probably should have taken someone in the under 7,500, but I will say Ricky Fowler. Anyway, whatever.
Under 7K to make the cut.
I have two I love, so I'll let you pick first because you might pick one of my guys.
I mean, I already kind of alluded to it when I was talking about the range before, so I will say Brandon Todd.
Brandon who?
Todd.
Oh, Todd, yeah. And I am going to say JJ Spawn. And, well, no, I'm going to say Nick Taylor, but I almost picked JJ Spawn just to, again, I don't want to name too many guys, but still, I'm going to build heavily around the guys we mentioned. I'm going to include a few of my other 8K guys in some builds, and should be a really fun weekend, hopefully. Hopefully we have a Sunday sweat. And by the way, if anybody has a real legitimate, like a big Sunday sweat, let us know, or any sweat ever. Just let us know, and maybe we can pop on. If it's not Sheets, maybe I can, maybe Rody can. And we could have some fun with it. I'm really into this cut sweat idea. Maybe it's because it's Wednesday and we're going to be doing it tonight. But guys, if you are watching this now or anytime soon, remember, join us tonight at 11 Eastern. We're going to be doing our crazy stuff.
So Bobby, I have a question. What do I have to do for you to remember that we have to pick the guy to not make the cut?
You probably have to reprogram my brain because it's the least interesting part to me, but I am happy to do it.
So let's do it. over 9K to miss the cut. This is really, really hard.
I have I'll go. I'm going to throw him into GPP lineups because his ownership, but I'll say Jordan Spieth is the most likely.
Well, then, just for funsies, I will go the aforementioned Tony Finau.
All right, look, that was my other one. Although he does always make the cuts, though, I have to say. He always just does, and then he ends up even for the tournament.
No, the fact is that all these guys are going to make the cut, but that's not the point.
You want to hear something crazy? In the last 23 years or 25, or whatever it is, since Tiger came up, he is 100 in majors. He's 126 under par going into the Masters. He was, and the next best golfer in that range who played more than five majors or whatever, the next best. Or I guess maybe they had to play 10. I can't remember. Was plus 125. He was minus 126 and they were plus 125 as the second best golfer. I just thought that was an unbelievable stat. I've never heard of anything like that. You could be that much better. Anyway, should be fun. And we'll be live later talking about doing some builds and
it's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough build. I don't know exactly where I'm going to come out on this one.
Well, I've just got the Scheffler ROM and then all the 6,900 guys I talked about. Why not? Anyway, it should be fun, guys. Good luck to everybody. Sheets, anything else before we get out of here?
No.
Good luck, guys. Let's make some money.